act. So in that case, you're clearly intending to do harm to other people. So that's on the doctrine of double effect. That is one that would not pass muster as being an ethically acceptable act. The other would be a strategic bombing, something like that. So to take a controversial example, let's think about a nuclear power plant in Iran, or a weapons manufacturing plant in Iran. So you go in to bomb. Let's say we know that they're right on the cusp of developing nuclear weapons, and not trying to get into a political situation here, but let's say that that's something that has to be prevented. For balance of power reasons, deterrence, creating World War III in the Middle East, whatever. So we say we're gonna send in a drone, we're gonna send in a fighter jet, whatever, to take out this nuclear power plant or this nuclear weapons manufacturing plant. But we also know that, and we're going to choose this shift intentionally. We're going to go in on the graveyard shift when they're the least amount of people that are working there. So we know that we can foresee that when we blow up the plant, we're going to kill, say, 100 workers or something like that. But our intent is not to kill those 100 people. Our intent is to prevent Iran from achieving nuclear weapons. So in that case, under the doctrine of double effect, it would say that that act is ethically justifiable, because our intent is to prevent Iran from achieving nuclear capacity and to prevent a greater war from breaking out. But even though we foresee that we're going to be killing many people to save more people, that is justifiable, because our intent is to disarm the plant, even though there are foreseen negative consequences. So let's try to apply the doctrine of double effect to the trolley scenario. Okay, so in the first scenario, our intent is not to kill the one person, right? As the conductor, we're not out to murder this one-track worker. That's not what we're out to do. Our intent is to save the greatest number. So even though we can foresee that the one-track worker will die, it's not our intent to do so. Therefore, it's ethically justifiable to turn the trolley towards the one. Okay, in the case of the observer on the overpass, our intent, even though our intent is to save more lives, the way that we're going to go about it, the intent of our action is to push the fat man off of the overpass. So that's what we're doing intentionally. And the reason that is unacceptable is because in order for an act to be considered ethically justifiable under the doctrine of double effect, the act has to be at least morally neutral. It has to be either a morally good act or a morally neutral act. And clearly, murdering the fat man is not a morally neutral or morally good act. So that's one route that some philosophers have taken in the past to try to justify. Now, obviously, the doctrine of double effect has a lot of problems with it, and if you guys want to respond to this video with some of the things that I've said, I mean, for instance, you could ask the question: Is bombing the nuclear power plant, is that even a morally neutral act, or is that a hostile act of aggression that's unethically justifiable, or whatever? But that could lead to another line of discussion. So if you guys are interested in that, post something and we'll talk about that a little bit. Let's see, what are some other... So somebody else said that one of the things that made pushing the fat man sort of unethically justifiable, or something that they didn't want to do, is because you actually have to go through the physical act of pushing the guy. And there's been some research that's been done, people's responses and things like that. It's something that it's just harder for us to do. The closer proximity we are to violence or violent acts we have to perpetuate, the harder it is for us to do, basically. So it's a whole lot harder to stab somebody face to face than it is to, as for instance in our current situation, to hit a button on the drone strike to take somebody out from far away. So we may be more likely to push a button to kill somebody versus actually stabbing that person. But once again, in the case of this example, we can go back to the conductor having the button that he can push to throw the person off, or say even if you're the observer and you can see it from a distance, you can hit a button and catapult the fat man off of the overpass onto the trolley. I would still argue that people would not want to do that. So I don't think it's the physical proximity, although that could play a role. Okay, so pretty cool, pretty cool thought experiment to get us started here, and we're going to have a lot more of those. This is basically what we're going to be doing throughout the entire semester, with the exception of this particular week. And in this particular week, we're going to take a brief step back from ethics, and we're going to look at philosophy more broadly speaking. This week is going to be devoted to, we're going to be working through Lewis Vaughn's book about reading and writing philosophy, A Student's Guide to Writing Philosophy. And it's just going to give us a brief overview of what it means, how you go about reading and writing philosophy. First, it's going to talk about the different branches of philosophy: metaphysics, epistemology, political philosophy, and moral philosophy, which is where we are. We're somewhere in the middle between political and moral philosophy. But if you get into philosophy, you'll find out that you can't really discuss one area of philosophy without somehow stepping foot into the other arenas. So that's interesting. It's just an overview of philosophy. And then he's going to give you some strategies for actually reading this stuff, because, philosophy is really challenging to read. And we're going to, not the entire class is going to be just watching Sandel brilliantly, explain these scenarios to his students. We're actually going to have to try to puzzle out some of these things ourselves through reading and writing philosophy. And essentially what Vaughn is going to talk to you about in the book is he's just going to say that, the whole key to reading and writing philosophy is to realize that philosophy is all about arguments. So when you're reading a philosophical article, a philosophical essay, you're trying to find the different elements of the particular argument that the philosopher is trying to make. And the way that you do that is you have to understand what the structure of an argument is, and that goes back to logic. So it requires sort of a rudimentary understanding of logical principles, and Vaughn is going to talk to you about those as well. He's going to talk to you about conclusion, just as a general reminder, and this is just getting you going in the reading. Always look for the conclusion first when you're reading something, and then go back and try to identify what the premises are. Or I guess you have to know what a conclusion and what premises are first. So Vaughn's going to go into that, and then I'll talk more about it too as the week goes on. If you have questions about any of this stuff, feel free to post them on the website. I appreciate you guys posting your questions in the feedback section so that everybody else can look at them. So yeah, if you do have questions, please post them in there. And then also, maybe when you go to the website or something, just click in there and see if anybody's posted a question. If you have a question, go there first. We'll think of that as like a frequently asked questions section that you can go to before you send me an email, which is fine. I don't mind if you send me an email, but I just want everybody to benefit from people's questions, because if you know the old thing, if you have the question, somebody else probably has it too. So just throw that out there, and I'm enjoying the class so far, and I hope you guys are too. And we're going to have some great discussions, and keep on going in those discussions. I think we had 60 posts in the last Sandel's question. So please keep that up, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, have a great week. This week is basically, this will be the last that you have quizzes. So this week is basically divided up into quizzes. There's going to be a quiz corresponding to sort of each chapter that you have to read, but I'm going to post those in the assignments, and you can use your books to take the quizzes. It's fine. My main concern is that you actually are getting a grasp of what you're reading and having an understanding